Hello, my name is Ab Sesay, and for the last 23 years, one thing hasn't changed, and that's light stands. But what the world needs now is not another light stand. But guess what? Today we're gonna cover kit stands, baby stands, C stands, combo stands, roller stands, overhead stands, wind-ups, and crank stands. So please stick around for this, because you ain't lighting anything if your lights ain't got nothing to stand on. On a previous video, some of you commented stands no matter what. Well, here you go. One of the most comprehensive videos going over the different types of light stands. Ideal if you're looking for what your next stand is that you should purchase, or if you're looking to rent stands for a bigger production and want a familiarity with what is out there. For this, I'm going to be going with the 80-20 rule, discussing what are the most common stands you'll see 80% of the time. The major components of a light stand are the pin, the receiver, the riser, the locks, and the base. Before we get into discussing the most popular types of stands, I'm going to go through what the components are. First, let's talk about the pin or receiver, the place where you're going to attach the light. The baby, or 5/8 inch pin, will be most familiar if you're just starting out. Your stands probably have these already. But there are different types. The strongest will be steel and welded to the top of the stand, followed by aluminum welded to the top of the stand. Then you have removable, in which the pin fits into a baby receiver, and then you have riveted. I have these listed in what I generally believe to be the strongest, most secure, to holding the least. If you're going to be using larger light shapers, I recommend a stand with a welded baby pin, and steel stands have the highest rating. Next, we have a combo head. This is a stand with a combination 1 and 1/8 inch junior receiver for larger, heavier fixtures, a baby receiver, and a baby pin that can easily be hidden or tightened in place for an extra secure fit. You will also find that some heavier duty light shapers will enable you to remove the locking pin, and they now become the perfect fit for a junior receiver. The next most common head is a 4.5 inch grip head, or affectionately called a lollipop. They have a junior receiver and a 4.5 inch rotating disc, ideal for mounting ears for overhead frames. For some of your heavy duty stands, you simply have a junior receiver and a guy ring for attaching ropes for added stability when using on location. So now we have discussed the top of the stands. Now let's discuss the riser. One of the most important things to consider when leveling up your light stands is going from an aluminum riser to a steel riser. Steel risers support more weight, are less prone to bending or getting crushed or dented by over tightening. Sometimes their weight doesn't make them your first choice going on location, but they can be a lifesaver on set. When looking at a stand riser, you want to know its minimum and maximum extended height as well. So moving on, let's talk about the locks or castings. A good lock is going to never slip, not dent your stand when you apply maximum pressure, and give you the most surface area to grip the riser. Lighter duty stands will use simple tension to squeeze the stand and are more prone to slipping under heavy loads. Medium duty stands will use a brake that is tightened with a knob. A heavier duty stand will use a heavier duty brake and a thicker casting. And moving up, you'll find wind-up stands that will have a wind-up casting at the base with holes in the riser that allow for added security while raising the stand. As a simple rule of thumb, your stronger stands are going to have aluminum castings. I personally would shy away from plastic unless the weight of the stand is an important consideration. Now let's talk about the bases. First, we have the C stand or turtle base. Their footprint makes them ideal for small studios or to fit into tight spaces among other stands on set. You can put a normal 40 inch C stand riser in them or a junior baby drop pin. They also come in a Rocky Mountain version for a higher third point of contact, but the Rocky Mountain bases are non-removable. You also have simple floor stands with a baby pin, great for getting as low as you can, often used as a background light behind your subject. And in cinema, you will often see a 5/8 inch pin attached to a board nicknamed a pigeon plate. Also, for getting lights with junior pins as low as possible. And to round out our low bases, you will have a runway base with wheels. They will have a junior receiver or a combo head. Then we have our traditional triangular stand base. For heavier duty stands, I look for nut and bolt construction. It's also nice to have a leveling leg when working on location. They will most often have square or round tubes. I find the square tubes are usually more robust, and when you put optional casters on them, they won't twist when you put them under heavy loads. I won't go into detail about these because they range from what you see here on this lowboy combo stand, to this Beefy Baby stand, to this flatter design on a medium roller overhead stand, to this design on a large crank stand. There are hundreds of variations. One thing I would look out for is whether or not you have the ability to loosen the top and bottom to give your column an added bit of adjustability, if needed. I would also look if they have an adjustable leg for uneven ground or stairs. So now let's talk about the most common categories of stands you're going to see when you rent. Because as you level up in assisting on larger productions or doing larger productions of your own, you're going to want to learn the basics of what light stands to use and when. Now, before we get started, understand that there are easily 5 major grip companies that make stands, and all of them have their own versions of some of these styles of stands, and depending on what city, coast, or country you are in, things do change. And I'm going with the 80-20 rule here, talking about the stands you will most likely see 80% of the time, and the generic name for the stand that you can reference, and most professional studios, rental houses, and grips will know what you're talking about. First, let's start with kit stands, or what are often called black stands. This is like asking for a rental house's most inexpensive aluminum stand. You kind of don't know what you're going to get until you see them, but they usually max out at around 8 feet and don't hold a lot of weight. My preference, if you're going to own them, is to purchase a set of stacking kit stands, like these Cupo click stands. They are lightweight, stacked together, and enable me to carry a lot of them. Other brands have a version of these as well. There are hundreds of variations in this category, and they are going to be your most budget friendly. Next, you're going to have your lawn dart or preemie stand, which is a short stand with a baby pin, and then your lowboy combo stand, which is similar to a preemie except taller with a combo head. Great for sliders, aiming heavy lights up into bounce boards, or positioning a light over the edge of a roof. Next, you're going to have C-stands. If you want them with a grip head and arm, make sure to ask for a C-stand complete. These are a great all-purpose stand, strong with a small footprint, and they get high enough for most uses and are exceptional when using flags, nets, and scrims because they easily nestle next to other stands and are a go-to especially when working indoors where the wider base of other stands may get in the way. And you don't have to worry about their stability due to wind outdoors. When renting these, you'll often ask for either a 20-inch or 40-inch C-stand. They will either have a fixed or removable base, the option of a sliding leg if you ask for it. Always remember to keep the weight over the longest leg and a sandbag on that leg for good measure. And if your sandbag still touches the floor, just wrap them around the base. But they should never touch the floor. C-stands are great because they easily soldier up in your studio for easy storage while still being ready to go. And they fold flat, so it's easy to keep many of them around and transport them to locations. There are many versions of these depending on the company who makes them. For instance, here are versions from 2 different companies. Next, you're going to have the Beefy Baby Stands. These are like kit stands with all steel, usually with a leveling leg, and they will come in 2 or 3 riser versions. The 2 riser versions will get you to about 8 feet, and the 3 riser versions will get you to about 12.5 feet. These are great when you're going to be working outdoors as they are more stable than a C-stand. You are able to easily put sandbags on them, and they're able to go about 2.5 feet higher if you're using a triple riser. Great when you want to set and forget about a light on location without having to worry about a small breeze tipping it over. Next, you have your combo stands. These will have a combo head, normally come in 2 to 3 riser sections, and start to get you into the serious payload category. Great for lights or rigs in the 30 to 60 pound range, but be sure to double check their spec. They are also often referred to as Hollywood Cine Stands. Then to round out the basic light stand group, we have the Mambo combo stands. These replace the combo head with a 4.5-inch grip head or lollipop, and are great when you need to get a light up really high on location. They have a 3-riser version that is often just referred to as a mini mambo stands, and a 4-riser version with an extra wide footprint often called a daddy long legs, capable of reaching up to 24 feet. Great when you need to put a light through a second-story window and still need it angled down, or you are working with very long booms, menace arms, or goalposts. These stands often take payloads up to 88 pounds, are great on location in mild winds, and are easy to put a lot of sandbags on for added stability. You can even purchase optional wheels for them, making them great on rugged terrain versus a normal wheelie stand. Now let's talk about rolling stands that are traditionally going to fall into 6 categories: runway base stands, baby roller stands, junior rolling stands, overhead rolling stands, wind up, and crank rolling stands. Oftentimes in rental, you won't find stands with casters on them, but most of the stands mentioned previously have optional casters that can be purchased for them. Runway base stands are usually rented for things like monitors, fans, and tether stations. They have a low center of gravity with a footprint that makes them hard to tip over. They are great for things that are going to be moving around a set a lot. They are also great for lights needed at low angles. Some will have their risers locked in, but they can often be found with an open junior receiver, so you can put any junior riser into it. Now let's talk about baby rolling stands. These will have a lower triangular base, a baby pin, and come in 2 or 3 riser versions. The low base makes them great on set because they easily fit under things like stands or under a car if you are shooting on location. The 2-section versions are popular among Steadicam operators and perfect for large light shapers, while the 3-section version is ideal when you need to get lights a bit higher than 9 feet. These are also often a person's first purchase when looking to get a stand that they will leave on a boom all the time. So let's say you are putting a rental order together and you're going to be using a 75-inch Elinchrom Octa as a fill light. I'd likely rent these stands to accompany it, or if a photographer is going to shoot on a junior boom with a beauty dish boomed out, I'd look at one of these stands as well. Next to baby rollers, you'll have your junior rollers, which are rollers with a combo head. I recommend these when your payloads are going to exceed 25 pounds and you'll need a bit more height as well. Now let's look at the overhead stands. They have a 4.5-inch grip head with a junior receiver and are most common when using overhead frames, 8x, 12x, and 20x, or if you want to rig a goalpost that other lights are going to hang from. The ear from overhead frames fits securely into the 4.5-inch grip head, like you see here. When renting, you'll refer to these as medium and high rollers. The medium rollers are shorter, but still relatively tall, but the high rollers start even taller and go up to about 20 feet. If you have short assistants, they will need something to stand on because high rollers start off pretty high as well. They are also great for large lights, as most have a payload of close to 90 pounds. Next, we have wind-up stands. These are like combo stands with wheels and a wind-up mechanism to make lifting heavy loads easy. They are great for raising heavy fixtures, rigging larger booms, and running goalposts that are going to bear a lot of weight. For instance, in my studio, I have a 12-foot seamless, which weighs 52 pounds on a 16-foot galvanized pipe goalpost, which weighs another 40 to 50 pounds. So having it on a wind-up is a lifesaver. They will even have risers with holes in order to lock off each position as you raise it before tightening it down for added safety. So when renting, oftentimes a wind-up is rated for around 60 pounds. When you need something that winds up but is more heavy duty, you'll usually ask for a crank stand or crankavator. So here we have a crank stand or crankavator. Usually when you use the word crank instead of wind up, people know you mean business. This is when you are getting into the 150 to 200 pound territory, or when you have a mega boom that is going to be extended all the way out. Large booms are easily 30 pounds, and then you'll be adding another 50 pounds of counterweight with a 20-pound fixture, and you're easily at 100 pounds. The braces are usually strong enough to easily support your largest grips, and there will be an additional foot pedal as well. They will have a junior receiver and a guy wire hose to attach to stakes in the ground for added security. So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different light stands out there. But this video is here to help you understand the different levels to light stands and for you to better understand what to ask for when renting and taking on your first large production. Now, depending on what country, state, or coast you're on, names can change. And depending on the manufacturer, the specs can change as well. One manufacturer may have a medium roller with a wider base, and the other may take a higher payload. Another manufacturer may have a daddy long leg combo stand with a guy wire top, and another may not. So going through all these different stands, I know there is a lot to digest. And some of you may own a bunch of kit stands and want to know what your next light stand should be. Well, I got you. Most beginners' first inclination is that they need a C stand, but Kupo makes this Mini Max Baby kit stand. Let me go through the process of why I would choose this as my first stand to level up over a C stand. First, starting with the pin. Both are welded steel. When looking at the risers, the Mini Max has 3 sections versus the C stand's 2. So it will reach much higher. Combined with the base, the riser is also able to drop down, going much lower as well. Finally, the triangular base is going to be more stable when on location, but it's not so broad as to take up a lot of space in interiors. It also has the added benefit of optional casters for easily repositioning your lights, and when checking the specs, it holds an additional 6 more pounds in a C stand. It's a great stand when you're taking a few kit stands with you on location, but want one other stand that's just a bit shorter, taller, and stronger on wheels and easy to pack in the back of your trunk. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to see more content like this on Adorama TV. And other creators on this channel have also made videos about light stands. I'm going to leave a link down below so you can see what some of their favorites were as well. I hope this video was helpful. If there is a stand you think I missed, please leave it in the comments below and let me know what other topics you'd like to see me cover as well. Because as you know, there's levels to this.